How do you feel after watching Indy 500?
I'm knackered.
It was 200 laps is ridiculous.
Yes, it's way too
It's
much.
way too much. And then watching all of F1 as well, and then straight into that was a bad idea. But it's entertaining.
Yes, long Sunday, and there's NASCAR still.
Oh my God. Yeah. No, there's no chance I'm watching that. It's too much. Okay, so will we go in the order of doing Spain first and then do Monaco?
Yes, that's perfect.
Yeah, I was writing up the notes and I was really confusing myself, so that's probably the easiest way to do it. And I even color coded it like the loser I am. Anyway,
But it's incredible, so.
wait until you see all the typos. You're gonna be like, "Who the hell is K Mug?" or something. Um, Hello and welcome to another episode of the Drag Reduction Sisters podcast. Today it is myself, Fiona, and Val, and we will be reviewing the double header of the Spanish Grand Prix and the Monaco Grand Prix. Yeah, for two races that are meant to be quite boring, they were chaotic.
Unexpectedly entertaining.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. We were like, oh, pleasantly surprised. As we normally do on the podcast, we look at the DRS. D stands for drama, R stands for results, and S is something beginning with S. So, Barcelona and drama. Where should we begin?
Oh,
Maybe the upgrades?
yes.
Aston Martin or the green Red Bull? That was literally
Oof.
like the pink Mercedes all over again.
Had flashbacks out from it.
Yeah,
And
completely.
they were not funny.
No. Well, I thought it was genius, whoever works in Red Bull, that decided to get those green Red Bull cans up on the pit wall. And they just
Yes.
didn't say anything. And they're subtly, the cans are just sitting there. I was like, that is genius.
Like
Genius.
a petty statement, but make it classy.
Yeah. It was simple but effective. But yeah, so it does look very similar to the Red Bull, I'm not gonna lie. But
No.
they are adamant that they built it fair and square. They had their own they had two designs for their car, and this is the second one, but they were building them or designing the car side by side. So they're saying it's all above board. But yeah, of course, Christian Horner is, he likes the drama and was saying, well, if we find out that it isn't, there will be problems. But then, after all that controversy, the car didn't look very good. So it was kind of a waste of time.
Like it was like it had potential, but then it failed. But it
Yeah.
was good for the laughs.
Yeah, it was good for the entertainment. Yeah, like Mercedes seemed to have taken a big step forward from a lot of their porpoising, bouncing problems. They seem to be kind of back up there at the nearly at the top, not quite at the top.
Like more like further than midfield. Like, they did
Mm,
great. I remember that in it was maybe quali where Hamilton was doing good sectors. That when we were all like, "Wow, he's really improved. Like he's kind of back."
back, exactly. Which is a scary thought for every team watching. It's like,
Facts.
oh no, they're inevitable. Yeah, then I guess the race drama. Well, on lap one, Kevin Magnussen and Lewis Hamilton decided to just touch off each other, and that didn't end well.
Little brother heads up.
Yeah, like Kevin went off into the gravel and never really recovered in the race. But then I just thought it was so surprising that Hamilton, well, he got a puncture and was down at the back of the grid, and he was like, "Oh, okay, guys, let's just call it a day."
Retire.
And retire and save the engine. And they're like, no, we think you should race.
And he improved from there. Like it was a great race for him. Besides that little puncture, but
Yeah, I think he came back to like P5, I think.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, P5. And he was even kind of in P4, but he had to manage the car because there was an issue. So it was an incredible recovery.
Yes, something like reminding Brazil from last year.
Yes, very much so. Yeah. Other issues or drama in the race, Charles just slowing and slowing in the
Oh
race. You're like,
no,
no.
no, that one hurt way too much.
Oh my God, so bad.
So bad and so unexpected. Like we have seen Ferrari doing great, having a good car, and not much trouble. Well, with Charles, because Carlos is another story, but that was very unexpected. And
Yeah.
when we all thought that Charles was going to win.
Yeah, and he probably would have, but I guess
Yeah,
the yeah, reliability wasn't really an issue for them that
no,
much. Like it was the Red Bulls who were, at the early start of the season just could just DNF out of
yeah,
nowhere. Yeah, that was hard to watch. What was hard to watch but also very entertaining was Max and the DRS. Oh my God, he was so angry. Like I could see why he was angry, but it was just
yeah,
hilarious to listen to the radio.
yeah. It was at sometimes fun. Like he was pressing the button so much, but not working, and he was like, "But the DRS is not working." But he put a good battle on that. Besides not having like that extra push.
Yeah. Yeah, like he was right up on top of George's gearbox and then just spamming the DRS button, but actually closing the DRS. He was pressing it so much. So that was funny. That's not what you need. You don't want DRS to just malfunction.
Nope.
And I think that happened in quali as well. I think DRS or no, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Maybe it was one of the free
No, yeah.
practices.
So yeah,
Yeah,
he
they're
had
having issues
problems
with it.
previously with the DRS.
Yeah, it's not great. You need to fix that. The the random gust of wind on the track seemed to be out for some people. That was so random.
Yeah, that was odd. Very odd. Again,
Yeah.
bad luck for Carlos. Like he and the gravel are like besties, not besties.
He's just a magnet. She's like, ooh, gravel, okay.
I'll go
Um
there.
yeah, but yeah, it was weird that Max got kind of thrown off course as well. You don't see him kind of get caught up in those kind of mistakes, but it's hard to know how much of that is a mistake from the driver or just a random tailwind that would have caused anyone to go off. But it only happened to the two of them.
Strange coincidence, and more because it was a very hot day in Barcelona. Like it was a
Yeah.
dry day. How come?
Yeah, this freak wind. Just like, I'm gonna mess up this race.
Let's get
Um,
spicy.
yeah. The piece of drama that I'm still not over it is Red Bull and
Oh,
the whole Checo and Max, and are they racing each other or are they doing team orders? Like
oh,
I listened back to Checo's radio and he moved out of the way to let Max through to try and overtake George, I think it was. And he was told like, oh, if it doesn't work out, you'll get the position back so that it's fair if Max can't make the overtake. But then like later on in the race, they weren't giving it back. And then
no.
when he was like, well, I'm faster now, can I overtake? And they're like, no, 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 you are on a different strategy. So stay where you are. It's kind of like,
Oh,
what?
yeah. I was I was almost screaming at the TV. Like that was very, very, very unfair. Like I get that Max needed to further the distance with Charles for the
Hmm.
championship, but Checo is improving. Checo has possibilities, and yes, it will be. Hopefully, it won't be a Nico Rosberg Hamilton situation
Yeah.
between the championship, but they have to give Checo the confidence, the support that he can do it. That at the end of the day, they are going to try and go for Charles. And if they
Hmm.
go on group, it will be easier for them. But that's also the Mexican in me speaking. So
Passionate. Yeah, no, like, and then when he was saying on the radio after the race, we need to talk. um,
Serious, we need to talk.
yeah, we need to talk. Yeah, so he seemed to be kind of saying, "Oh yeah, I understand, the reason and whatever, and that Max might have had more pace or blah blah blah." Yeah, I just hope that it doesn't become a recurring thing because
Yeah.
Checo is still in with the championship fight. He's not miles behind, and he's more competitive this year than he was last year in comparison to Max. So I think it's too early for team orders.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. Like, they
Mm-hmm.
have to give him an opportunity if they want to see even more improvement.
Yeah, definitely. And the last thing you want to be told is, you're a great teammate. It's like, no, I'm a
Yeah,
competitor to you at the same time.
yes, it's teamwork where it's all about being on the competition too.
Yeah, fair opportunities. Will we talk about the results?
Yes.
So, quali, well, all of the talk of Aston Martin, copied the
The Red
championship
Bull.
leading, Red Bull, and then both of them are knocked out of Q1. I was like, oh my God, this is just typical.
I got
um,
second-hand embarrassment from that one.
yeah, I was like, oh, okay, we're not green with envy now. Um, and then both Williams were knocked out, which wasn't great. So,
Not great, but expected at some point.
yeah, poor Alex Albon and his
Yeah.
red hairdressing service didn't seem to pay off this week. So that was a shame.
Yeah, it only works for him,
Yeah,
apparently.
exactly. He's diluting the power by giving it to other people on the team. That's
Yeah.
that's the logic I'm going to go for.
Same.
And then Max had some power issues, and maybe that was the DRS issue as well in the kind of the last laps of qualifying. But he seemed to think at the end of qualifying that he probably wouldn't have been able to beat Charles anyway. So another
Yeah.
pole for Charles Leclerc. So then the race results. Yeah, there was the controversial Red Bull team orders, maybe not team orders, but at least they both got on the podium. So a
Yeah.
Max and Checo 1-2. And then George Russell just P3. It's like,
Yeah,
okay.
impressive. He
he had
kept
a
on the outperforming and on the keep on the results for Merck, keep on being
mm,
on the top 5 on every race. That's good for him.
yeah, he's just always kind of there in
Yeah.
the top half. Yeah, he had a strong race. Like the battle between him and Max was very entertaining. Like I thought he was gonna give up the position after a while. I was like, oh no, he's fighting back. Okay.
He is giving his all.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Charles would have won the race if he hadn't lost power.
Yeah.
So it would have been interesting to see where the race would have gone from there, but I guess we'll never know. And then, yeah, Lewis and his puncture coming all the way back up the grid. But
And with a great P5, an unexpected P5,
an
I would
unexpected
say.
P5, yeah.
Fernando's gearbox change. And still finishing on the points on P9.
Yeah, I voted for Fernando to get driver of the day,
Driver of the day.
and he
That
didn't
was
get it.
fantastic. Like, he fought really hard. And no, yeah, that was awesome.
That was such a good drive. Well done, Fernando.
Yes.
I think, did Lewis get driver of the day actually for coming
Yeah,
back?
he got it.
Yeah. I mean, fair enough, I suppose. They're both good drives. Poor Joe retired again. He has had such
Oh,
terrible luck in races.
terrible. Like, he has finished like 2 or 3 races.
Yeah. And like
Yeah,
when you think
poor
of it, like
guy.
his first race as a rookie in F1 and he finished in the points. And then he's just
Yeah,
been kind of plagued with issues. But then his teammate, Valtteri Bottas, finished in sixth. And you're kind of like, how is one car
indeed.
so sketchy and the other is doing so well?
And then he finds his bad luck. But it's comprehensible. It's his first season. He's on an alpha, so hope things
Hmm.
improve for him.
Yeah, I hope so too. Someone who could have really won driver of the day as well was Lando, but I think
Oh
nobody
yeah,
realized how sick he was until after the race. So yeah, it would seem to be going around saying online that he had really bad hay fever, but it turns out he had tonsillitis
Tonsillitis.
and was seriously, seriously sick.
Yeah,
Um,
poor guy. Like he was sneezing and jokes with us that that the sneezes were his power and pushing, but
who needs DRS? I have the power of my sneeze. Um, yeah, even on the driver's parade, like he was sitting on the floor of the trailer under an umbrella. Like, the poor guy just sounded
why did they
miserable.
force him to
I
go?
know. What was the point? And he couldn't even do any interviews because I think his
No,
throat was too sore. I was like, just let him like lie down.
let him rest. And another surprising thing is that the medical team cleared him. Like,
Yeah,
ew, that was a risky choice.
I think so too. And because it was so hot
Yeah,
in Barcelona, like unseasonably warm, like it must have been just so difficult to drive.
yeah.
Yeah, kudos to Lando. That was very impressive. But then when you compare that result to Daniel, you're like, oh no.
Oh,
Like
Daniel.
Daniel finished what, P12?
Uh, yeah, P12.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, he did.
That's
Oh, things are complicating for Honey Badger.
they really are. And we hope and pray that they improve.
Manifesting
um
an improvement.
exactly. A few other good results. Yuki getting P10. That's solid
Yeah,
for
Yuki.
Yuki.
Those are like this has been the one of the best results for Yuki, right? Like he was having like some weak races. He did points, I guess once or twice, but then seeing him back again on the top 10 was good. He's a good driver.
Yeah, he's finished higher a few times, but like he seems to be more consistently close to the points
Yeah.
this year and better qualifying. His teammate, however, um,
Oh, Pierre.
yeah, he kind of crashed into Lance and then got a 5 second penalty. So P13, not not
Mm,
amazing, but hopefully just a one off.
no, just to DNF, and that's it.
Yeah, two DNFs. I mean, for a Spanish Grand Prix, it was good, but I wonder was it just because it was so warm? Is that why it was good? And the tires
Probably.
are just like dying,
Those tires were way too hot.
way too hot. Which brings us on to something beginning with S. Super hot day in Spain.
That was oof, a rough day for the drivers. I can't imagine driving under that weather, then Lando being sick,
Yeah,
then just losing power for Charles. Like, depressing day.
very much so. And like, did you see before the drivers got into the car on the grid, like they were like all taking like a cold bottle of water and just pouring it all over their heads. Like
No, I didn't see that.
Checo was having like a little bit of a quick wash of the hair. I was like, okay, whatever you need to do to cool down.
Whatever floats your boat.
Exactly. But yeah, it seemed like the tires couldn't handle the heat. So
No.
not great.
Pirelli, take notes, please.
Yeah. It's probably also like global warming is kind of a problem here.
Human beings, please
Yeah,
take
yeah,
notes.
everybody, we're trying to have a nice race here. Um, but strategy, I think, is another S. It was definitely a race, how many pit stops, what tire combinations you chose definitely seemed to influence the race a lot.
Yeah, I think it was also due to the weather that they had to, well, yeah, they were more damaged and they had to constantly change the tires. The three pitting strategy was the winner for this weekend.
Mm. Three pit stops just it's too much for my
For my
anxiety
liking.
levels. Yeah,
Yeah.
because every time there's a pit stop, I hold my breath or I'm like hiding behind a pillow. So three pit stops for one team, I'm just like, I can't handle this. It's too much.
That's too much
Um,
stress.
too much stress. But I don't think there was any bad pit stops actually. I think they were all
Mhm.
relatively good.
No, they were all good.
Hmm.
Another assist. slow start for Carlos. That was a rough one too.
Yeah, what happened? Like he just wasn't moving and everyone's just zooming past him. I'm like, Carlos, this is not what you need.
Please wake up. It's your home race. Do it, please.
Yeah, now is not the time for a siesta.
Oh, siesta, right.
Yeah. Yeah, as we covered earlier, the spamming of the DRS button. I even heard in an interview after the race that Max said he was like, "Yeah, I was spamming the DRS button trying to get it to work, and I was actually closing it." I was like, "Oh God."
Inspector Seth went to detective because you know that robbery issue in Barcelona.
It's just the most said story that ever
Right.
there could be. Like I heard in the press conference for the Monaco Grand Prix, they were asking him about it, and he was saying that I think he was checking out of his hotel, and he had his bag in his car or on the footpath or something, and then went back into the hotel for a second, and he came back and the bag was gone. And then apparently he asked a stranger, could he borrow their scooter so that he could basically investigate the crime. But like it was genius. Like he realized that he had
His
um
AirPods.
his AirPods or earphones or whatever that they're synced to his phone, so he could track the location of them. I mean that is quick thinking. I would just be crying on the footpath, like no.
On
Um,
full anxiety because I lost my
yeah,
bag.
exactly. And then he said he found the earphones that had been dumped from the bag because the people realized that they'd be able to be tracked. And they were in a flower pot. And I was like, oh, that's just such a Seb thing. He's always trying
Yeah.
to protect the bees and plant more trees. But yeah, luckily I don't think there was anything valuable in the bag.
In
But he
his
said,
bag,
he's like, oh, I
yeah.
really like that bag. I was like, you're a millionaire, you'll get another one, you'll be fine.
Get another one.
Yeah, exactly.
He went from bike theft to scooter theft.
Yeah. He has so many jobs and he's very effective at all of them. So well done, Seb.
He's awesome. We don't expect any less from him.
Yeah, exactly. P1 in our hearts. Now we move on to Monaco.
Yeah,
And
Monaco.
Monaco, again, the all week leading up to the Grand Prix, all people were talking about is A, will there be rain? And B, will Charles actually finish the race because of his curse?
Oh yeah, that sweet little curse.
The guy is just so unlucky when it comes to his home Grand Prix. It's quite sad. I
Yeah,
think I
for
think pretty
sure.
much everyone was just hoping and praying that he would make it through qualifying, firstly.
First of all, qualifying.
Yeah. So I guess the main drama in the practice sessions was Danny Rick crashing, which again we didn't
Oh
want to see.
no, that was a nasty crash and nasty attitude from McLaren, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's been so many just rumors about his contract and his
Uh,
criticism from Zach Brown on Sky about his performance and
his
like I
performance.
think I think the comments that Zach made were as harsh as you can be without being unnecessarily mean. Like
Yeah, right.
he was being honest, but I don't think that's going to help his confidence, like Daniel's confidence of just hearing his boss just saying like, "Oh yeah, we're all a bit disappointed, in his performance since he joined." And you're like, "Oh,
Yeah,
maybe
that was
don't
a
say
little
that."
bit unfairly harsh. Like, it's the truth.
Mm.
You can't deny it. Like,
Yeah,
Daniel's not being great.
and he
But
knows it himself.
yeah, you expect that his own boss, the one that wants him to do the best, to cheer him up a little bit, but that was
Yeah,
harsh.
yeah. Like you may need to say that to your driver behind the scenes, but
The scenes,
in
right?
public, you need to be seen to kind of have their back or whatever. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think Daniel handled the questions well in the press conferences. I think what did he
absolutely.
say? My skin is tanned, beautiful, and thick.
And
I was like,
such a
that's
honey
good.
butter response.
Yeah, exactly. But then later on, it seemed to be, I didn't hear these comments, but I just saw it being discussed online that Zach was saying about, like, he was talking about loopholes in Daniel's contract or something, because Daniel is contracted to be with the team until the end of 2023. And apparently he was saying something about, oh yeah, but we can end contracts early or whatever. And I'm again like,
Oh
that's not okay. Like, I really don't think that's a good thing to be saying.
no, that was meant to stay on at home. Like that
Yeah.
shouldn't have been said. Zach Brown, you're walking on thin ice.
Yeah, we're not happy with you.
No.
Sort it out. But also, it seems that that Danny's crash in FP2 was not entirely his fault. That it was something to do
With the car.
with the setup that the engineers chose. Yeah, I think Andreas Seidel was kind of saying like, yeah, it was an engineering, mistake or risk that was taken. So yeah, I don't think people talked about that enough to kind of.
No, yeah, it should
Yeah.
have been highlighted. Like probably
Yeah.
we're on fair ground. They're like not the driver's entirely fault, not the team's entire fault. So, well, more the
Yeah.
team's, but we will settle on middle ground.
Yeah, exactly. So we will hope for better things for the honey badger,
Yeah,
because nobody
he
wants
can
to
do
see a
better.
sad honey badger.
Nope. Next on the drama, really reliability concerns for Ferrari powered cars.
Yeah, so it seems that not necessarily the Ferraris themselves, but like Haas and Alfa Romeo have been having a few issues in the last couple of weeks. Like Joe has been, he retired in Barcelona and previous races. I'm not entirely sure if that's to do with the engine or what exactly, but Mick did have a problem with his engine, I think, in FP1 this week in Monaco, and Bottas missed, I think, all of FP1.
FP1.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I'm sure the Haas and Alfa Romeos are like, hey, Ferrari,
Can you please help?
yeah, can you help us here? But like, I really had high hopes for Bottas this week.
Yeah.
And he's been having such a good season. I think moving to Alfa Romeo has really just done him a world of good.
Yeah, he has been very he has had good results for being on an alpha, and
Hmm.
he seems overall being happy with the team, like with
Yeah,
his teammates, his engineers. Good for both.
definitely. So yeah, it was a pity that he missed out on the running for FP1. I think that did kind of have him at a bit of a disadvantage later on. But yeah, so, for a while, as we were saying earlier, the Red Bulls were the ones at the beginning of the season with their retirements of Checo and Gasly and Max
And
twice.
Max too.
And then occasionally Yuki as well. I think, did he miss a quali or something?
Yeah,
Um,
he set on fire once.
yeah. So, but it now seems to be kind of tipping in the opposite direction. The Ferrari cars look a little bit unreliable. So, I guess we'll wait and see. But it's actually interesting that the Merck's customer teams, although they've been slow, especially at the start of the season, I don't like,
Yeah.
have they had that many DNFs?
Besides Nikki, I guess just once Danny Rick. The
Oh
same
yeah.
time where when Alonso didn't finish either.
Yes. And
But I
actually,
think that's
I
it.
think, yeah, Alex and Nikki have had some problems actually.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
I take it back.
You know what? They're still bad.
They're still bad. Yeah, I need to look into this, do a thesis on it or something. Monaco race drama. I mean,
Oof.
we didn't even get the race started for like an hour.
Yeah, I think an hour, and that was. I
It
wanted to
was.
go back to sleep.
What time was it actually when you were watching?
It was supposed to start at 8 a.m. on a
Ugh.
Sunday.
Ugh,
Yeah.
that is not cool. It
No,
was 2
that's not
2 p.m.
fun.
for me, and I'm like, I can't believe it's delayed. Like, I did not have to wake up early for it. I was fine. So privileged. But it didn't seem like much rain.
No, and it
And
wasn't like accumulating that much either.
no. And it was funny because when I looked at Twitter, and it was just saying like all of the F1 journalists were like, oh, there's like very little chance of rain after all. So don't get your hopes up for a very exciting race. It looks like skies are clear, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, damn. And then literally they're on the grid walk, and Martin Brundle is like, are those drops of rain? And then just all hell breaks loose. So weird.
He called it.
He did. So they said, oh yeah, we won't start for like 5-10 minutes. But they sent them out then for one lap behind the safety car. And then it started to rain more. And then they just stopped and said, yeah, we're gonna red flag. It was
Yeah,
just
yeah, it was
strange.
bad. It was like, yeah, we will get the tents out, and I was like, please don't. Like, it's not raining that bad. Even the commentators were like, but we can race in here. Like, it wasn't like in Spa. Like,
No,
it's so slow.
100%. It's weird because it wasn't raining too bad. Like it was kind of like
No.
light rain, and then it started to rain harder. And then that seems to be when they sent them out behind the safety car, and they were like, "Yeah, this is really bad." And then they brought them back, and they're like, "Okay, we're not going anywhere." It's like you waited for the rain to come, and then sent them out for one lap. Like I was like, "What?" It was very strange. But I just found it hilarious when it seemed to be like it looked initially that it was going to be a 10-minute delay
Delay.
to the start, and just all of the teams were just racing each other with the tires and stuff. It was insane. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
it
It
was
was
a
very,
mess.
yeah, and I think even like Jost Capito, the boss of Williams, was like helping with the tires, like pushing them around and stuff. I was like, what a legend.
That's what a boss looks like.
Exactly. Once we actually got started, um, it was, yeah, it wasn't a standing start. That also seemed to annoy a lot of people. They're like, why are we not doing that? But it seems to have come out later on that the reason the rolling start had to happen and not a standing start was not completely because of the weather, but it was also because of a power outage that happened around in Monaco, or very like, I don't know, on the circuit or something. And the lights at the end of at the top of the grid wouldn't work to be able to do and away we go.
That only could happen in Monaco, where you could buy power plants, but you decide not to.
Yeah. It was very, very strange. And even there was one point when the commentators, like Crofty and Martin Brundle, like they lost their TV picture, like they couldn't see anything for a little bit, which again, very weird. But then it came back. They were like, "Okay, we're gonna watch this replay now," and then it just cut out. It's like, oh, all right, very strange.
Very. I was on Spanish stream, so can't comment further on that.
Oh, okay, you didn't see that. Okay, fair enough.
No.
Yeah, it's just very awkward. Like, okay, we're gonna watch this replay to see if I think Max, if he crossed the end of the grid or into the pit lane line, and then just as that was about to happen, they were like, okay, well, we can't see anything, but the viewers could. It was just like, okay. So yeah, Charles looked pretty in control, even with the wet conditions. He was just comfortably ahead. It was all looking so good.
Yeah. Then Ferrari decided that that wasn't enough.
Yeah, that's too straightforward. Let's make this interesting. It seemed to be strange strategy
Yeah.
decisions with Ferrari, and it seemed like Carlos was kind of like telling his side of the garage what the plan was. He was like, "Okay, I'm staying out until we go to dry tires to slicks. We're not going to change to intermediate." And they're like, "Okay, confirmed." I was like, "Whoa, okay." And then when they were pitting Carlos, they told Charles to come in again, but he had already pit for Inters. And then at the last second, they were like in, and they were like, no, stay out, stay out, stay out. And he was already in the pit lane. It's like, what
Yeah.
are you doing?
Yeah, they overlapped the pit stops, and that was very strange because how could you don't see that they have a car still in there, and that he recently pitted, and that was very unnecessary.
Yeah, it was strange. And I think in an interview, I might be wrong, but in an interview after the race, Charles had said that I think that the plan was that they were going to go from wets to slicks, but then he was pitted for inters.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's another weird thing. And then the whole the double pit stop with Carlos and Charles, which caused a delay for Charles to get in, and but like he basically was just giving up track position and handing it to Carlos as well as Red Bull. So
yeah.
he was very, very angry. I don't blame him.
Very, yeah, yeah. The that radio. Oh no, that was a sad but understandable madness.
Yeah, definitely. I was I was really frustrated watching the race in
Same.
our in general. But specifically when I was looking at the timings on the side of the screen. Now I don't know if it was different for your commentators. They might have been actually on it, but the Sky commentators were just talking about the race, talking about what was going on, and I could just see that at the bottom of the timings it just said Magnussen, and it looked like he was out, and I was just screaming at
Yeah,
the TV. I was like, "What happened to K Mag? Somebody talk about it!" And then there was a crash, and I could
yeah,
see a Haas that was just in two, and then the camera, and I was like, "Oh my god,
yeah.
was that K Mag?" And I was like, "That how could no, that can't be right." And then the cameras just went,
Mm.
and you could see K Mag walking down the pit, looking at the crash,
Yeah.
looking really annoyed. And I was like, "This doesn't make any sense to me." And then they were like, "No, it's Mick." I was like, "Oh my god, this is just a mess."
Oh God, not again. Yeah, the only time that I got to see that K Mac was retiring was when they showed him on TV when he was watching the crash, and it
Yes,
was
I think
like,
nobody knew
"Wait,
what was
Has, what
going
are
on.
you doing?"
Yeah. Oh, this is like Haas
You know.
2019 vibes.
Yeah, no, this one's going to be a hard season all over again for them. But that, oh God, when I saw Mick's car, it was like, not again in half, not again,
Ah,
poor Mick. Like,
It,
I
it
was,
it looked like it kind of crashed in a similar way to the Jeddah crash, which was really
yeah,
scary. Yeah, that it freaked me out. And it even seemed like a lot of drivers were asking on the radio afterwards, like, is everything okay? Because it looked that bad to even them.
yeah, yeah. No, I got to see that. I think Charles was like, "Is Mick okay?" on his
Hmm.
radio. But the surprising thing that is that this time, he just stepped out the car like
Yeah,
as if anything, and he
that was
didn't even
crazy.
go to the medical center.
Yeah, I think the doctors were like trying to get him out of his garage because he was talking to all of his team. They're like, no, no, you need to come get checked out. He's like, oh, fine. Yeah, so I think K Mag retired from a water pressure loss. I'm not going to pretend like I know what that means, but probably not
No.
good. But yeah, just disappointing from Haas. They started the season
So
so
well.
well. I still have faith that they can recover because they haven't had any upgrades yet. So hopefully when the upgrades do come in, it'll boost them a little bit.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, so it seems that there were comments made by Gunther after the race about the crash with Mick. And it seems again like because it's such a huge amount of damage done to the car, like the car has effectively been split in two again, similar to the Jeddah crash, that the estimated bill for repair is €1 million, which is huge, especially for a team like Haas who are operating on kind of the smallest budgets of all the teams. So he seems to have said that we need to, yeah, work on the way forward for Mick or figure it out or something. So it's kind of unclear what he means. Does he mean we need to just talk to him about not crashing, or do we need to assess our options of a driver lineup? Oh, so
Yeah, that
what do you think?
seems. It seems weird because he has definitely improved. Like, he has been very close to points. He
Yeah.
has made it to Q3 and that, but comparing it to last season when he was just out on Q1 and
Hmm.
just not close to the points, like literally on 19th or 20th place. But yeah, it must be hard for him because you know, there's always those comments like, oh gosh, he's so bad, like for being Michael Schumacher's son, he should be
Hmm.
doing better. But like people is very rough. Like he's a whole nother individual, and he has had a very different career path
Yeah.
than Michael. So I think it's an unfair decision to just say that you are probably going to see what happens with his future, but
Yeah.
he also does need to improve more.
He does. And like it like last year was just such a zero season because the car was carried over from the previous season again from
Yeah.
2020. And he didn't have a teammate that he could really get a benchmark off in terms of performance, and the car was not developed throughout the entire season, and it was his rookie year. So with all of that, it was just an undrivable car. So with all of that, like, although this year isn't his rookie year, it kind of is in a way, you could argue. But yeah, like, the mistakes have been expensive mistakes. And
Yeah.
I think as well, like, if they were fewer, if there was less of those mistakes, maybe you could kind of get by. But even when he was running in the points, what race was that? Was that Miami? Where he was running
Yeah,
in
it
the
was
points?
Miami.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
like,
it was
he
Miami.
then kind of, made a silly move on Seb, who was also in the points, and
Yeah.
ruined both of their races and knocked them both out of the points. Like, it wasn't like he was in 11th trying to get into 10th. Like, he was already comfortably in the points. Like, he didn't need to take a risk. Like, he would have had a really good result, like his first points finish, and everyone would have been talking about how good a result that was. But I don't know. I think he just, maybe it's the expectation of his name, or the fact that, people are saying, oh, how come you haven't scored points yet? Kind of the George Russell effect from last year. I
Yeah.
think he, at times, he is over driving, or pushing harder than he
Way too
should.
hard.
Yeah, and the mistakes are coming, and then it's kind of a vicious circle of needing to prove yourself, needing to prove why you deserve your seat, and then pushing too much, and then, yeah. So I don't know. I feel like it's too soon in the season to be kind of saying that
Yeah, absolutely.
he deserves to go. I don't think that. So I guess we'll just watch this space. But when you compare him to Joe, who has come in from F2, and some people were saying that, oh, maybe he wasn't of the level that deserved a seat in F1, I think he has proved himself to be worthy of his seat. And like, he got, a points finish on his first F1 race. Yes, he's been unlucky with some car issues, but he hasn't been, having huge crashes with massive repair bills, when you compare to Mick. And this is his first year in F1
Yeah.
completely. And they're in similar level cars. They're both Ferrari powered cars. They were both at the back of the grid last year, and they're kind of in the midfield now. So, yeah, when you compare the two of them, I know they're not the exact same car, but yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, I get what is you're saying. Like, two has come from a whole nother different cars because yes, F2 cars are very different from F1 cars.
Hmm.
And seeing him when he finishes his races, seeing him doing good because he doesn't stay like on the little back.
Hmm.
It's easy to compare, but at the same time, it's not.
Yeah. So, yeah,
Okay.
hopefully things turn around for Mick. I think everyone wants to
Yeah.
see it happen. Everyone wants him to do well. So,
Yeah,
fingers
absolutely.
crossed. Um,
Manifesting a good next part of the season for Mick.
yeah, we're manifesting so much.
I
Maybe
think
we
we're
need to
asking
pick
for too
one thing at
much.
a time.
Yeah.
Need to focus our manifestations. Hamilton versus Alpine. Like, it kind of made me laugh because they were
Yeah.
just in his way, driving him insane. So in the race, Hamilton was battling against Ocon, and he was desperately trying to make an overtake stick, but Ocon was kind of making his car as wide as possible, like his teammate
No, it
Alonso
was
taught him.
Fernando.
Yeah, fight like a lion, Esteban. So yeah, like they did touch, and I think Hamilton had some front wing damage, but
Damage,
I
yeah.
I don't know. So later on, well, Hamilton was complaining about it at the time, saying that he turned in on me, man, and it didn't. It was a long time before it even was mentioned that it was being investigated, and that
Yeah.
Ocon got a 5 second time penalty. So, like, I didn't really see many replays of it, and I don't know if they only touched once or if it was twice. But Ocon was very surprised and annoyed by it. I mean, it knocked him out of the points completely. I don't know. Yeah, just thought it was weirdly handled. How it was like a long time later on in the race that it was even being mentioned again. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think it was like a strategy mistake too, because since Fernando was holding
Mm,
Hamilton, it made like stopping a lot of cars. Like you
yeah,
could see that on the hairpin how they all almost smashed into everyone,
yeah.
and
It,
that was bad for Ocon too.
yeah, it was weird. Like, so Fernando was taking his sweet time and just
Yeah.
trundling around, and Hamilton again was getting infuriated. And I think Hamilton was saying on the radio, like, why is he going so slow? And they said, or Mercedes said that Fernando was told to basically slow down to hold you up.
Yeah.
But that was, as you were saying, that's like that strategy makes no sense because Ocon had the 5 second penalty and it was slowing him further down and making it unlikely for him to stay in the points. And then, like, later on, Alpine said to Ocon, like, okay, you need to push because you've got a 5 second penalty. And he was like, yeah, well, tell Fernando to hurry up because he's holding up everybody. And they're like, okay, confirmed. and then just
And then
Fernando just took off. It's like, what?
yeah, he decided to throw a very fastest lap, and then he was like, "Nah, I'm bored again. I will
Yeah, I'm
hold
gonna
them
take it
up."
easy. But yeah,
Yeah,
it was like the Fernando Alonso train. It was so slow.
yeah. Not even the DRS can do that.
No, it was strange. Very, very weird.
Yeah,
And then some late drama was the Red Bulls. So I'm not sure about Perez, but I did see the clip where Max is coming out of the pit lane and he seems to be on the line
yeah,
before the end of the pit lane. It looks like he's touching it. I don't know if he's across it or what. And then apparently Perez did something similar, but I didn't see any footage of that. And it seemed like because it seemed so close and maybe unclear, the stewards didn't investigate it. But then Mattia Bonotto was very annoyed about it. I think he was probably directing some of his own frustration at how Ferrari handled the day at Red Bull and was just like, oh my God,
yeah.
this is not cool. And they lodged a complaint to the stewards. So then both Max and Checo were called to the stewards. But then later on, it was said that, yeah, there was no further action being taken. So relief for Red Bull because that's not what you want. Um,
Yeah.
it's hard to know with the new race directors how they handle certain things and how strict they're going to be, but they didn't seem to come down on that too hard. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was strange because I think I saw one video where they showed how clearly Max even crossed the pit line. But and I thought that they were going to do something about it, but
Mm,
they didn't. And then I didn't see any footage for Checo's apparent mistake. But I guess no, I guess it was a fair win.
yeah, we'll see if this happens again, what will happen in future races, but it could have been more dramatic than it was. So
Yeah.
luckily for them, it's all okay.
And I mean, it's Monaco, so
Monaco results. FP3 was really well, it surprised me anyway that like, Charles seemed to be leading the rest of the practice sessions kind of, pretty strong. And then Checo just was going fast as lap, fast as lap. I was like, where did this come out of? Um, and it definitely seemed that, yeah, it was the Checo and Charles show. um, but Checo came out on top at the end of that. That was really, really strong.
That was a really big surprise, I guess. I didn't get to see FP3 that much,
Yeah.
but for the highlights, yeah, it was a very weird practice.
All the kind of pundits and stuff were saying after FP3, they're all like, oh, so maybe Checo pole. They were like, this is apparently a thing we might be getting. So yeah, and like Max just didn't seem to be on it this weekend. It just seemed like he
No,
wasn't comfortable with the car. Wasn't leading any of the sessions in terms of lap times. Yeah, it seemed to be the two Ferrari and Checo that
Checo.
were kind of pushing things. So in the midfield, Pierre and Lando had really good lap times in FP3. So they were both looking pretty good as well. Then it came to quali, which most people think quali for Monaco is maybe more exciting than the race. It's definitely very important, but it was very entertaining. Yeah, I guess everyone's panicking. Oh, is there going to be traffic? Am I going to get my lap in? Etc. etc. And there was, of course, a red flag in Q1. So yeah, that was
That was
unfortunate.
Yeah, but that was a very odd red flag. I think it was way too much.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a little scrap on the barrier. It didn't break anything,
Mm.
nor any driver was at risk or the marshals. So yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, it seemed like Yuki like grazed the barrier and I think like damaged his wheel cover or something like
Yeah.
that. But there definitely wasn't enough debris or anything to really require a red
So
flag.
yeah,
It was kind of strange. So then, yeah, everyone back to the pits. And then Pierre and Joe didn't make it out in time and they didn't get across the start finish line in time to start their last lap. Now, Joe was, I think, P20 anyway. So probably, I don't know how much of a difference would make. But considering how strong Pierre was in FP3, like it looked
yeah,
like a Q3, a decent maybe top 7 or 6
yeah,
Q3 result was on for him this weekend. And yeah, the fact that he didn't even get to set the lap and it was his
yeah.
teammate that caused the red flag, I was like, oh no.
Very unfortunate coincidence.
Yeah. And he was very annoyed with his team
Yeah.
afterwards, I think, about the timing of when he was out on track. So I was kind of like, oh, maybe don't criticize them that publicly, even if you are annoyed.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was a difficult mistake, but that's something that should have stayed behind the scenes too.
Yeah. But yeah, like P17 is just not good, especially when you were
No, poor Pierre.
looking good. So that was Q1. Q2 was a bit more calm, but there were some kind of shocks, I guess. Like Bottas and Magnussen
Yeah.
were both knocked out of Q2. They possibly could have made it to Q3, and then Q3 happened, and more drama. Charles
Oh,
he was looking very, very much out in front. Set a fast lap, was in P1. I'm gonna let you talk about what happened with Checo.
okay. Okay, that
defend
was
defend your countryman.
yeah, I will defend him in case that's needed. But that was a bad crash, and that was a bad mistake. I think.
Mm,
Yeah, no, he was like going way too hard for that one curve. So yeah, that shouldn't have happened. And then it was on a, you can say, blindish corner.
hmm
So then Carlos bumped into him like straight into Checo. And yeah, that, and within the 30 seconds frame, like it was, yeah, I get it was a time for a full send if he wanted a pole, but
hmm
it seems like it wasn't going to be possible either way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he made a big mistake on that one because it could have risked the car for the race.
Yeah,
Like, I mean,
definitely.
yeah, you have good engineers, but you shouldn't risk it that within the finish of qualifying.
Definitely, especially when you consider qualifying last year and what happened to Charles and,
Exactly.
not being able to actually start
To
the race.
race.
But yeah, just going into the tunnel, it was not a great place to crash.
To
But
crash.
yeah, then it was kind of like, there were some questions about whether Carlos would have seen the yellow flags being waved before coming onto the corner. But there were some questions about, will he get penalized or anything like that? But nothing seemed to come of it. So I think he got
No,
lucky there
yeah.
too.
It's difficult to say because, as I've said, it was like a kind of blind spot. So
Yeah. And then Charles was actually improving on his previous already P1 lap time in that lap, which is insane. Like
yeah,
crazy.
it
So
was like the can I go for a fast lap thing.
you already have the fast lap. Oh, okay. Yeah, really, really impressive. So it was all looking so good. And then other interesting results for quali. Vettel getting a P9 in that
Yeah, that's
green,
quality.
not Red Bull. um, was pretty good. And the two Alpines in the top 10. Oh, of course, we never we never mentioned Lance's reaction to being knocked out of Q1.
He was impressed to say the least.
Yeah, oh my god, the noise he made was like it was terrifying.
No, no,
So
no,
he
no.
was he was disappointed, clearly. We'll move on to the race. So as we mentioned earlier, a rainy start, but Charles, yeah, he seemed comfortably in control,
At
even
home.
with the conditions, yeah, at home, leading Grand Prix, all looking so good.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, then it definitely seemed to be a game of tire chicken about what tires to change into and when to pit. And considering Gasly had, starting from P17, which he didn't want to be starting from, and he had been saying to his team to all do a rain dance leading up to the race. And then, so yeah, he pitted, he was one of the first to pit from wet tires to inters. And then he struggled for like a lap or two, but then he seemed to be setting like the fastest laps. He just seemed to get a lot of overtakes, even though Monaco isn't known for overtaking.
Yeah, no, he was doing well. It
He
was
was providing
strange.
most of the action.
Yeah. Gasly with those overtakes. That was surprising because
Yeah.
he catched up very, very, very well.
Yeah, he did. He made up a lot of ground. So then other teams were deciding to take a gamble on whether to go from dries to inters or hang on for slicks, which paid off for Carlos anyway. Yeah, the whole Charles pit mistake. Was he in P1 and then pit and then ended up P4, or was he in like P2? I can't really remember.
No, I think he was P2. Then yeah, because it was like Charles. Then it was Checo. Yeah, Checo. Then it was Carlos. Then it was Max. Yeah, there were any like big changes to the foretop.
Yeah.
Yeah, then this race happened.
Yeah, not ideal. Okay, so Charles got a P4 in the end, which is progress on his previous
Yeah.
performances in Monaco. But when you were on for P1 and then it was a mistake by your team, like that's going to be
Yeah,
really hard to accept.
yeah, that won't hurt because he was expecting so much after having so little, not to
Yeah.
say nothing. Yeah.
For Carlos to get on the podium and Charles not to get on the podium. Like if he had been on the podium, it would have been something, but not even to get up there. It's like, oh,
Yeah, that was unfortunate because he after the restart after the crash, he was like aiming all to overtake Max and he was going to do it at some point, but it was impossible. Like the track is not suitable for that much overtake, so
Yeah. It was crazy though at the end, the last
Yeah.
few laps, that it was the top
Oh,
four cars so close to each other. It was like it was the beginning of the race again. It was
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I was absolutely screaming for the last, I guess, 15 minutes. I
Yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
it to end just so badly.
Very, very tense. But Russell has still continued his streak of being the only driver to finish in the top five all season.
Like, that has been impressive. Like, on his first season with the Merc,
Yeah,
we know he's a good driver, but yeah,
yeah.
it's impressive. He has
Very
been
impressive.
that consistent. I could say that he has been the most consistent driver on the grid this year.
Yeah. hmm And he's gotten some podiums, and even with a
Yeah.
car that was kind of struggling. And I know like Lewis and his side of the garage were maybe taking more risks with setup in previous races to try and figure out how to overcome the porpoising issues and other issues they were having with performance. So maybe Russell was at a bit of an advantage because they weren't taking as many risks on their side of the garage, but still, he's definitely shown that he deserves his place in a top
The
team.
seat. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can we talk about the tire management from Checo? I'm
Yes,
sorry,
we
I'm going
can.
to okay, that tire management within the, I guess it was the last 20 minutes where
mm.
he had issues with the tires.
Yeah, like it was. It's strange that Red Bull decided to put both him and Max on medium tires, even
Yeah.
when they had like a free pit stop in the at the red flag, because they didn't know how many laps were even going to be left in the race. So they kind of gambled by just saying, okay, we're just going to go medium to the end, and we don't know how long that will be. And they managed to pull it off. But yeah, Checo didn't have it easy. Like his tires were definitely graining up a lot.
Yeah, a lot. Like he was holding his breath until the finish line. Yeah, that was stressful to say the least. And
Yeah.
Carlos was a monster attacking him.
Yeah, and I think they were even asking on the radio, like, what's Checo's tire? Is he complaining about them or
Yeah.
and stuff like that? And I think even Max was saying that Checo needed to move on because I've got Leclerc chasing me. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, he managed it well. Didn't put a foot wrong. So vamos.
Vamos, Checo. Okay.
Another interesting result was Lando sitting in P6 with like
Yes.
a 30-second probably gap behind because of Fernando. So he was just
Right.
chilling. Just so crazy. So then he just pitted near the end, came out again because there was such a gap behind him and got fastest lap. So I was like, nice.
Mm, nice extra point for Orlando. Something
Yeah,
to make up for his tonsillitis.
exactly. A nice little reward.
Yeah.
And then because Esteban had the 5-second time penalty, it meant that Bottas got P9 and Seb got P10.
P10.
So that
Yeah.
was nice, but also unfortunate for Esteban.
Yeah.
So,
Bittersweet
yeah,
moment.
bittersweet. So, Monaco, something beginning with S. I think strategy was a big one. The
Yeah.
tire strategy and deciding when to pit. And yeah, there was just too many combinations of all the different tires. I was losing track on who was on what. It was just like at
Yeah.
one point, I think Alonso was like the only person on wet tires, and like people were moving on to inters and slicks, and he was still on wet. I was like, "What are you doing?"
Why are you keeping on it?
Yeah, so he did well to stay up in the points, in fairness.
Yes, he managed to have a decent race.
I think another S that was a controversial one was the whole standing starts
Oh,
debacle,
right.
and whether to have it or not. It would have been, I guess Checo is happy that it wasn't a standing
A
start.
standing start, yeah.
Yeah, because it would have just been hectic, especially with one side of the track being wet. And they seem to be saying that for the second restart after Mick's crash, They said on the Sky broadcast anyway that the
Okay.
reason they weren't going to have a standing start was because one side of the track was wet and the other side of the track was more dry on, say, the racing line, and it would disadvantage the people on the wet side
Right.
of the track. But
Yeah, yeah.
then Martin Brundle was on the broadcast and he was like, well, that's the way the cookie crumbles. So what? Just get on with it. So I don't know if that was the reason or if it was the whole power outage thing where they couldn't get the 5 lights to start. I don't know. A bit
Or
weird.
both.
Probably both. Yeah.
Okay, and the last thing with something beginning with S, South Charles. That was nasty. That was very, very, very sad for him.
Very sad for Charles. But the curse is broken now that he
Yes,
finished
it's
the race.
supposed.
So, next year he'll get a podium, and
Yes,
then the
he
year
will.
after that he'll get a win.
Yes,
That's
he will.
probably how it's going to go.
Yeah, at least he finished on a decent position, like not maybe on podium, but it was a good race for him.
We hope it improves for Charles and that
Yes.
there aren't any more strategy blunders from Ferrari.
Right,
Um,
get your things together.
yeah, please. A lot of questions were being asked of, oh, should we continue to race in Monaco? Because the cars are bigger and obviously the track is a street circuit. And it seems that the contract with the circuit, the current contract ends this year. So I think there's some rumors that, oh, maybe it won't be kept on the calendar. But I don't know. I think this year it redeemed it
Yeah.
in my eyes because it was an eventful race. Yes, it was a bit chaotic in terms of the rain and nobody knew what was going on, but it was a decent race and I still think it's
Yeah.
nice to go there because of the tradition and stuff.
Yeah, I think they should just improve the race but not getting rid of it. I mean, it's historical and it's a good show for everyone. I think
Yeah,
if we keep on having races like this one, like this year's race, then we can keep on talking about getting more races in Monaco. Like, and I think one of the most attractive things right now is that it's a home race for Charles. Then I think it could be a factor to make it even more interesting.
that's true.
Like
Yeah,
to see if he's gonna get a podium or if he's going to win or something. That's something that could keep us hooked on Monaco.
that's true. Especially if he's in a championship contender car.
Car,
They'll
right?
they'll want to go back there. Thank you for listening to the Drag Reduction Sisters podcast. Be sure to leave a 5-star review on Spotify if you enjoyed it, or drop a like on our YouTube and follow us on our social media channels. We're on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Next up is another street circuit. It's Baku, which is one of my favorites. Well done, Baku. So we will chat to you in the next one. Bye.
Bye bye. See you in
Thank
Baku.
you. See you in Baku. Are you going?
No, I wish so.
I wish.